want you to be a part of our studio audience. If you're in the Toronto area, contact us.
Well, before the break, we asked our studio audience, was it appropriate for the government to send a third-party manager to Attawapiskat? And here's how they voted. 46%, almost half, said no, it wasn't appropriate, and then it kind of breaks down from there. Well, we want to hear from our audience right now. What were your reactions? We've got someone who's commented there in the back with lots of buzz here while we were gone at the break. What was your opinion on the crisis in Attawapiskat when you saw it breaking on the news?
Well, when I first heard about it, I was astounded that our Prime Minister of Canada indicated in his comments that he had given people, or the government of Canada had given people $94 million over a 5-year period, and we were given the impression that they didn't know what happened to that money. Well, to me, as a Canadian citizen, I would hope that when our government distributes taxation funds, etc., they know how it's being spent and what it's being spent for. But to go a 5-year period and not have an adequate answer to that, to me, is unbelievable.
Okay, and I think a lot of Canadians felt that way. Well, we're back with Grand Chief Kenny Blacksmith and his wife Louise. And we do want to know how you got out of your personal housing crisis. Louise, describe what your house was like before you decided, I can't live like this anymore.
Well, actually, we lived in many different houses before we moved before we had our new house. We lived in many different log houses.
Did you have running water? Did you have electricity?
We had no running water. We had no electricity.
And then something happened that you said, this is not adequate for our family. You've got 5 children, right? And what was the breaking point for you?
Well, we had gone to the band office many times to find out if we could build our own house. You know, we couldn't live in those conditions any longer. We had 5 children to look after, and we just wanted to have a comfortable home to live in.
And can you describe for us the obstacles to building your own house? What did you have to overcome?
Well, you know, part of the funding that Native communities get is housing, for example. We get what is called an A-based grant. The A-based grant is only a portion of the cost of the house. The onus is put on the community to raise the mortgage or get the mortgage to balance the amount that is needed to build a house. And then the individuals pay the rent or pay off the mortgage. So that's the way it works in each community. Nobody gets the money we never just got a house for the sake of getting a house. What Louise said earlier, we lived in the poorest log house. So I had to wrap plastic all around the house every fall so that the wind wouldn't get through the logs, because the logs were getting rotten. And then we had to have 10, 20 quarts of wood or more than that, for the fire, the wood stove, so we could have heating. And then we had to walk down to the lake, and just like you see in Attawapiskat, people walk down to the water to get their water, to the lake, break a hole in the ice and bring your water up. And every day, every morning, at the end of the day, you did that. And that's the way it works in each community. And every community is different. The further you go up, the more it costs to build a house.
You wrestled, though, to get that funding, that A grant level, given to you so you could leverage it for a mortgage. How rare was that?
I think it was pretty rare because I had to challenge our community. I had to challenge the government policy. When the government gives money, it just doesn't give money. There is a policy to that public funds. And so when they gave they gave the band the A base, there was a policy to that. There was already, everything was established. The band just couldn't take the money. But when we went to the band and said, we have a dream, my wife and I, my family, we've sat around and we're tired of living in this old house, and we're tired of not having adequate housing, but we have a dream. And we want to build our own house, and we designed it. And Louise and I, with our children, we designed the house. We sat around around the stove, a little table beside the stove, and we each drew a design. We said, if we could build a house, what would it look like? And so we took that to the band, and we said, we want what the government gives. Give us that A base. We'll go get the mortgage ourselves. And we'll build a house, and we can do this. And that's what we took 2 years to convince the band.
And how unique that is to get ownership on a reserve. We've got some statistics here. 67% of the general population owns their own house in Canada. Amongst Aboriginals, it's only 28%. Do you agree the Conservatives are now talking about letting more of you own their own house on reserves? People don't realize that that's not normal policy.
Well, there's precedents already in place. I mean, it's not a new thing to be talking about that today. It's already happened about 30 years now, or 25 years. It's been in place. The government just needs to change its policy. They're talking about it right now, but what we did 30 years ago, we had to convince the government that they could trust us with the A base, which was 20% of the cost of the house.
And you were able to leverage that A base monies because you had a very unique job. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the job you held for 23 years. Now it's time to find out what you think. Will the attention given to Attawapiskat help improve conditions on other reserves? Send us your answers by phone or email. Leave us a message on our website. We'd love to know what you think. And our studio audience is taking a live vote. We'll have those results when we come back. What kind of dream did they have that launched them into a new job that lasted 23 years and is still being used as a base of education amongst the Cree Nation? That part of the story next.